Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Appreciate you staying for another round of questions. There were a couple more topics I did want to touch on. You mentioned community care in your opening testimony. In my district in Central Florida, in the northern part, we have the opportunity to avail ourselves to fantastic facilities in Tampa and St. Pete. I also have a brand-new clinic in Lakeland that is wonderful. I've been there a number of times, and they're doing great work. I also represent a lot of rural counties where it's very difficult for service members, for veterans, to get that care in a timely manner. We saw what seemed to be in the last administration some gaming on the part of VA with the appointment times and things like that to try to make it look like it was working better than it was, but really was just serving to frustrate veterans. I'd like to have you maybe expand a little more on the role you see for community care, and to the extent that there may be those within your organization who are trying to resist that. How do you root that out and get them on board?
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate that. And because really, this one is probably the simplest one of all, because it was overwhelmingly passed by this body years ago, and I was a part of it when the Mission Act was actually put forward, coming after the Choice Act, which was in response to wait time issues and scandals that we could not get our veterans in for timely care and timely access. So it should have been something that had been growing an alternative, for alternative ways for a veteran to get care that they need. They can get all the care they want through the VA, or they can get part of that care through the VA and part in the community. What we found concerning as we've went along here, is, especially in the previous 4 years, is there seems to be more of a concern, and I actually heard this from actual VA employees who said, we have to sell the VA. In other words, they wanted to keep all veterans internal and not send them to community care, because there was concerns that if they did not do that, then they would actually, not get funding, or they would be cut, or something of that nature. What we're looking at is, we actually have seen emails and procurement slides or not procurement, but actually slides in which the VA itself was actively discouraging community care by overbooking, by not letting the veteran know that they would have an access to that. So those are the kind of things we're trying to root out right now. One other aspect, if you would allow me here on community care, is frankly, we have a two-part problem here. We have a problem with the VA, which I'm working to fix, and we have also then our third-party administrators that we're trying to work with, who are our conduit through which our veterans go to community care, either for doctors, recruitment, scheduling, those kind of things, which we have found at times probably inadequate in some areas. But the other part is our side of it. And if we don't have things in place where the doctor can easily refer someone to community care by either tweaking too much control or asking for more information before they send them, then that slows down this process as well. One of the things we found out just recently as we were looking at our community care aspect is our doctors tend to think that they're supposed to be supervising, at least that's the thought process, they're supervising the community care doctors. In other words, is if there's a hierarchy of care here. And what we want them to do is, and I asked many of our doctors this, I said, why would you think you would have to supervise a fellow colleague as a doctor? And really they don't have an answer, except that's just the way the VA has been doing it. So it slows up everything as you go along. Those are all areas that we're looking at. Another thing for us is how we do even direct care. We ask duplicative stuff all the time. An example given by a veteran just the other day who is a double amputee, asked the question, why do I have to go to my primary care to get a referral to an OT, to a referral to a PT, to get to a seating clinic, to get in your wheelchair? Sure. Those are the kind of things that we're facing.
Okay. One other topic, and I was thinking of it as Mr. Alford had brought up, suicide, veteran suicide. Mm-hmm. Clearly, no matter how we bend the curve, one suicide is too many. What has been kind of a sensitive topic in the past, a little controversial, is the use of psychedelics mm-hmm. To treat PTSD. There are studies that show as many as 29% of the post-9/11 veterans are suffering from PTSD. We know the path that leads to. I personally have lost several of my former Navy buddies to suicide, and it's heartbreaking to see. And I'm for looking at anything that works, and I wouldn't have been in favor of that. But I can also tell you, I have fellow members of Congress who have told me that the use of psychedelics literally saved their lives. I would be interested to know your thoughts on that and how we can work with you on it.
Yes, this is I am probably the first secretary who've actually said I'm willing to look at the possibility for any of these treatments that can work. And again, we're not just running off saying this is the cure and the answer for everything with PTS or traumatic brain injury or anything else. But it does go back to the question, if there are actually treatments that we can show clinically, which, by the way, 11 trials are going on right now in conjunction with the VA on the use of psychedelics. We've seen some good results there. and also other treatments as well. So I'm looking at that as any way possible. Again, I don't want to say this is the only answer because it's probably not, but is it a possible answer that we can provide for veterans? I'll be willing to look at that.
Well, I appreciate that, and anything that would bend that curve, and there's no honor in hooking veterans on narcotics either. So
Exactly.
I mean, so thank you, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.